All right, I just want to begin, I meant to say this a couple times here when we've been together, but I meant to just express our program's thoughts and with Cassius Winston and his family following the loss of his brother. I was able to follow a little bit of that. It was so tragic, and I hope their program, I saw Coach Izzo's comments, I hope their program knows that we continue to think about them. I want to begin by just thanking our fans. Buckeye Nation was unbelievable in the building today. Their energy was incredible. So I want to thank all of our students, our fans. Obviously, it was an incredible opponent, but I just want to thank them. And as far as Villanova is in so many ways, and I told Jay this before the game, he's for younger coaches, I'm not too much younger than him, but for younger coaches, he's really a guy that I have tried to glean a lot from and learn from, X and O wise, tactically, how he runs his program. There's not a coach in the country I respect more than Jay Wright. And his program, and he's got terrific players, and I think they're going to have a really good season. As I've always said, players win games. I just told them that in the locker room. And our players' preparation and their play, was the reason for tonight's win. I thought across the board, they were really ready for, tonight's game. And probably 2 or 3 times have I ever been a part of a game as a head coach where almost everything kind of goes your way. And that's the reality. Very rarely do you have games like that. The players made plays, but obviously we were in a really good rhythm. And I think for us, how do we continue to grow is my biggest challenge for us moving forward, and then how do we respond when things don't always go our way. That'll be the question for us. Questions?
What are you thinking as you build up like 17-3 lead? You go up and the first you're up 9-0 before they call a timeout. What's going through your head when things are rolling that easily, that quickly?
Honestly, in those situations, and like I said, it's happened maybe 2 or 3 times in my career. Your players are so laser focused that you're trying not to overcoach at that point and get in their way. To be real honest with you, and that's what I was trying to do. And I knew they would make a run as they did towards the end of the first half, but I was trying to get out of the way a little bit.
And when the offense starts to roll like that, how are you challenging your team defensively to make sure that they didn't get overconfident on one end and it starts to slip at the other end?
Well, that needs to be, in our DNA and a staple for us. I thought Villanova made missed shots that we saw them in the exhibition and in the first game against RB make. Okay, so they were missing some clean ones. So we were talking about that and how we could limit that. But I think we were just trying to really be committed to who we want to be, which is on the defensive end first.
Does this become difficult to manage expectations now?
Well, I think I understand the question, and it's a valid one. I think I should need to pump the brakes on people who understand basketball and understand how long the season is, and the challenges. I mean, I think Michigan last year had a great win at Villanova, same time of year, and they finished 4th in our league. And now they had a really good year. Went to the Sweet 16, but you're not guaranteed anything. We saw last night in a couple games, there are oddities in college basketball. Our players are in this tonight, but they also understand that there's, I think, knowledgeable people who understand the game understand there's a lot between now and March.
DJ and CJ both were saying that because of how much Villanova switches, there would maybe be more openings for them to get downhill and be aggressive, but how much of that also is just sort of inherent in them, both those guys, their ability to get inside and create offense for you?
They're more instinctive about that. They're more intentional. DJ more than CJ, but they're definitely more intentional, which is what we talked about how hard it was for us to touch the paint some last year. But CJ is too. He's more intentional. He's a little bulldog, and sometimes he gets too deep, but I thought he played really well and got paint touches, and I thought we played unselfishly offensively with the lead.
When did it become apparent to you, I guess, that you would have that kind of element in your offense this year out of your guard play?
Well, I'm still interested to see how we fare against other defenses that might not switch as much as them. You know, you play a Michigan State or a Virginia pack line defense. Okay, can you still get in the teeth of the defense? So I'm interested to see that. I do think in the second half we were able to get inside the defense against Cincinnati, but I think time will tell. But I think we do have those guys that are more, those two in particular that are more intentional. Those two and Justice are probably our most intentional, like in the paint. Justice, who can't play obviously.
You talked about the physicality of this game coming in. Did you think it was as physical out there as you guys anticipated?
I think that it didn't seem quite as physical as maybe I anticipated. But I'd have to go back and watch tape. Their games have always been physical. Our games with them, with Villanova, has always been physical. But maybe tonight, I think it didn't feel quite that way. I think it was physical for sure, but at Cincinnati, it was almost like a bloodbath, and it didn't quite feel like that.
And you talked about the young team coming along. We just talked about managing expectations and whatnot, but can this be a big boost, especially to the young guys' confidence? If we just competed with a top 10 team, a team that you know well, that hey, we've got something potentially building here. We got to keep working, but can this kind of roll into something?
Yeah, I hope so, but I think there's also perspective required too in this, and I think that's required, but certainly it validates some of the stuff we're doing and working on. Early season wins, they do validate what you're doing. I was reminded of that when I was an interim coach at Butler, and you're really looking for validation there early in the year. And it does. It just reinforces that, hey, what we're talking about, it creates more buy-in. But I love coaches who've said this. My college coach said, you really learn about a team when you lose. So we've got a lot of learning to do with this group here as we move forward.
Last year, you guys were 10-1 in non-conference play. You pretty much spent the first 2 months of the season telling us to kind of calm down a little bit. We're going to learn in January, and we learned in January what the talent level of the team was.
Yeah.
This year, you got 2 more teams on your schedule of that caliber.
Yeah.
Beat my team by 30.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're going to be more confident in knowing what your team is
I do.
going into January?
I do. You play a lot of games. I've talked about, we've got Stetson, IPFW, how we're going to respond in those games that are pretty quick, and then Kent State, who's a really good mid-major program, and then you got all of the teams that you guys have talked about. I do think we'll have a better feel. I really do. Going into this thing, and not to mention the fact our December schedule with 2 really good Big Ten teams that we're going to play. So I do think we'll have a better feel. And I will be honest, I didn't come in here at that moment last year trying to spin something. I genuinely thought, hey, we had some red flags about where we're at. That's just, I'm not trying to spin. Some coaches spin. That was how I felt at that time.
So after one of these games, it's what you're feeling right now.
Well, I think we've got more certainly got more capability and more versatility in some ways that we were lacking last year. And I think when you have a player, Caleb Wesson's playing as good as I've ever seen him play. I've never seen Caleb Wesson play better. And that's a credit to him, on both ends. So when you have a player that's gifted and talented playing like he's playing, it elevates other people too.
Chris, when you play in a game that you referred to as a rock fight last week, and then
Yeah.
you play in a game like this, are you encouraged, or do you kind of pump the brakes knowing that everything went your way tonight? Or are you encouraged that you can play both styles of games and come out with a win this early in the season with a young team?
I think in some ways it makes me feel really good about tonight makes me feel really good about our Cincinnati win. As odd as that sounds, I think about how hard that was for us, and it just makes, and I think they're good, but it makes me feel really good about that win. But like anything, we've got to handle this with maturity and humility and the right approach as we move forward. But the players earned it tonight. They played really well.
Chris, you said this is the kind of game that happens maybe 2 or 3 times for you. I saw your Weston and Gaffney jumping on chairs and high-fiving with the students after the game. I imagine it was quite the party in the locker room. Can you take us into that celebration as much as you're comfortable with?
Yeah, I'll always take you inside celebrating a win, for sure. The flip side of that, you wouldn't probably want to be a part of. To be honest with you, I think they celebrated on their own right now. I had a little bit of an interview. I went in there and it was, it's hard to win. I apologize. I didn't, my wife gets on me. I probably didn't provide the kind of emotion that she would have appreciated in those moments, but I was just really happy for our guys. When you see guys that enjoy the moment, that's why you do this. Because I know how hard they've worked. So when you see them enjoy the moment, C.J. Walker sat out last year, and our freshmen didn't know what hit them when they got here in June, and see them enjoy like that. That makes you feel good as a coach.
Chris, DJ Carton's dunk, he said that was a good play call by you. Just wondering why that call then, and do you ever do that knowing how he finishes? That might lead to the finish that he got, and then also the crowd reaction. Does that lead into the
Ryan Peden drew up a dunk for Kyle Young and DJ Carton tonight. Those were Ryan's calls, and did a great job drawing. Kyle was a draw up. DJ's has been in our playbook, that was he deserved credit for that.
And then
Kyle?
Caleb is averaging like 10 points a game right now. How long can that go on, do you think? You guys are still playing incredibly well, but how long can that go on?
Oh, I think he'll be our leading scorer this year. So I don't know what that looked like, 15, 16, I don't know, but he's not going to average 10 for the whole year. And I don't think he's too concerned about it. But that won't last.
Was the Kyle dunk at the start of the second half the same play as Indiana last year?
Oh.
And did you feel like, given the way they closed the first half, that it was still a big lead, but they got something going,
Yeah.
that the start of the second half was important? Was that something
did.
you stressed at halftime?
I did feel like that. Ryan said it coming out of halftime. I did feel like we needed to re-energize maybe the crowd a little bit. You don't always do that as a coach because it's one play, but I did feel like that was important. And he said, how about because you prepare. So we prepared all day yesterday. So he talked about running that action yesterday in our offensive meetings. And he came out at halftime and said, hey, how about running this? And we thought we could get a specific player on it. So that was a reason for it.
2 questions about Caleb. First one, how many times have you seen a 6'9", 5-man throw a lob to a power forward from the top of the key?
Yeah, not much. But like, he's great at it. Now he's got great touch. He can really pass. And I always got on him last year. Saying, you're a really good passer. I'm not coaching you well enough. You shouldn't have. the assist turnover numbers you got right now, some of that is how much he was being trapped, but he's a really good passer.
And then he had 4 blocks and no fouls. And
Yeah.
I know you've always said that you've been mostly pleased with how he moves on the defensive end of the floor, but just how much better is he on that end this year so far? He seems like he's on another level.
He is on another level. He's really committed to it. He is on another level. I think if I'm the next level, I've looked at that and said, hey, you know, I'm certainly not trying to push Caleb out of our program, but if I'm the next level, I look at that and say, hey, you know, he's really moving well. He's really committed on that end. You know, I had a guy, you know, say to me, because Caleb was shooting threes, hey, is he playing for Ohio State or playing for the NBA? He's 100% playing for Ohio State. That kid is playing for Ohio State. He's not thinking about anything else right now. Like, he is committed to playing for Ohio State. And I almost, like, that was my reaction when I talked to him. I don't know where, you know, because that kid's all about Ohio State right now.
You're apparently the only coach with a 3-game winning streak against Jay Wright in the last 6 years. I don't want to overstate it, but you talked about your admiration for him. I think of how they develop guys, and
Yeah.
they may have some one-and-dones now, but and you may get some later. But is it an overstatement to say that you, through watching him and maybe coaching against him, that you wouldn't mind building here? Not obviously 2 championships in 4 years, yeah, but how they built or how he's built them is sort of a similarity to how you like to build this?
Yeah, I've never been shy about saying that.
Okay.
Absolutely. I felt like that at Butler. We had a model at Butler that had been there for a number of years, but I've never been. There's certain programs that I would like for us to kind of grow and emulate in certain ways, and his is one of them.
You've said this is the best that you've seen Caleb play, but is this how you expected him to play on offense, the way that you expected to use him?
No, I think we'll use him like we've, you know, he'll continue to diversify his game, and I think, you know, you saw there sometimes we tried to force feed him a little bit at the end of the first half. You know, it didn't always work out well, but I think, you know, he just needs to keep playing the game, making the right plays. But, you know, like I said, my guess is he'll lead us in field goal attempts and lead us in scoring and come the end of the year.
Jay Wright said he's really impressed with how disciplined or how well drilled and disciplined your team is that knows its roles. And I know that stuff is still obviously developing early on, but I guess where do you think you are as far as guys knowing their roles after 3 games?
You know, I think we're getting there, but like you said, I think that grows, and it needs to grow and change for us, right? We don't want to. We're not going to necessarily have the same roles now that we have probably in January, February, and March. Hopefully, we have some guys that grow, and whatever that looks like. But our team needs to change. But I think, you know, right now. You know, we've got a good feel, but I'm still trying to figure that out too. In some of these ways, I'm still trying to figure out where to put some of our guys, mainly our freshmen.
Was Justin healthy? Was able to play tonight?
His back was bothering him, and he kind of said that in the game. He just was really stiff.
Go back there. You said earlier this week how hard it is to score against this team in the paint. You ended up with 36 points. How important was it to establish the 3-point game to open up that game inside?
It really opened it up. But having Caleb opens up, you know, the opportunity from the 3-point line as they game prep. You know, and I thought we saw that with them. I think they were prepping to really take away Caleb. And it did open up some things for Dwayne, and he got going there, and then he got going in transition.
Stay back here.
Chris, your first 3 opponents, none of them hit over 33% from the field, and only one hit 20 field goals. The other 2 hit less than 20 shots from the field. Talk about what that means to you early in the season as coach. I realize, you know, Cincinnati and UMass Lowell and Villanova are all different types of offenses, but talk about that.
It's good. I think we've had consistent, a really consistent defensive approach in all three games, with some lulls here and there. Thought we had some lulls in the UMass Lowell game. We had some droughts there defensively, but pretty consistent effort on that end.
Chris, with Andre out, big, very valuable player, how do you see Dwayne and Luther really step up today?
I thought they've been good these last two games. You know, I thought they would come and try to post those guys, and they did. They did try to post them. I don't think they would have done that as much with Andre. But I thought we were able to limit them from getting there enough. And I thought those guys making shots and spreading the floor really helped our offense.
Okay, all right,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you.